In the world of financial fraud, few names are as infamous as Bernard Madoff. The former stockbroker, investment advisor, and financier orchestrated one of the largest and most catastrophic Ponzi schemes in history, leaving an indelible mark on the global financial landscape. Madoff's scheme, which defrauded investors of billions of dollars over several decades, shattered lives, ruined businesses, and sparked global outrage. This is the story of the man behind the world's biggest financial fraud. Who was Bernard Madoff? Born on April 29, 1938 in Queens, New York, Bernard Lawrence Madoff came from a modest background. The son of Jewish immigrant parents, Madoff attended the University of Alabama before transferring to Hofstra University, where he earned a degree in political science. His early professional career began in 1960 when he founded Madoff Securities, a small investment firm focused on stockbroking. Madoff's firm quickly grew, and by the 1970s, he had established a reputation in the financial industry. He was known for his charm, charisma, and insider connections that helped him gain the trust of investors. His company expanded from a simple brokerage into a wealth management firm, providing investment advisory services and boasting impressive returns. At the same time, Madoff's firm became known for an exclusive investment opportunity that appeared to generate extraordinary, consistent returns for clients. Little did the world know that these returns were too good to be true. The Ponzi scheme. Deception on a massive scale. Madoff's Ponzi scheme was one of the most sophisticated and elaborate financial frauds ever perpetrated. It involved paying returns to earlier investors using the capital of newer investors, rather than from profit earned by the firm's investments. This created the illusion of a legitimate, highly profitable investment strategy when, in fact, there was little to no actual trading or investment taking place. The scheme was founded on a simple concept. By promising unusually high returns, typically around 10 to 12% annually, Madoff could attract a steady stream of new investors, all while continuing to maintain the appearance of success. Here's how the scam worked. 1. The false promises. Madoff convinced both individual investors and institutional clients, including large banks, hedge funds, and charities, that he had developed a proprietary trading strategy that guaranteed steady profits. He attracted some of the wealthiest and most influential people in the world to invest with him, including celebrities, top financial institutions, and even philanthropic organizations. 2. The illusion of consistency. The hallmark of Madoff's fraud was its consistent returns. For decades, investors saw steady, reliable growth in their portfolios, even in times of market volatility. This led to an atmosphere of trust and confidence in Madoff's operations. Investors, both large and small, were lulled into believing that his success was a result of his brilliant trading strategies. In reality, the money was being funneled into the pockets of earlier investors. The web of lies. To keep the scam going, Madoff and his firm created false statements, fabricated trade records, and manipulated financial documents to show that investments were being traded and profits were being earned. In reality, Madoff was merely collecting the funds and using them to pay out returns to existing clients, all while pocketing a portion of the money for himself. The network of enablers. Madoff surrounded himself with a group of trusted insiders, employees, and family members who helped facilitate the fraud. These individuals either knowingly participated in the scam or turned a blind eye to the irregularities. Madoff's brother, Peter Madoff, worked as the firm's chief compliance officer, and his sons, Andrew and Mark Madoff, were also involved in the company. The collapse. How the fraud was exposed. The story of Madoff's downfall is as dramatic as his rise. The scheme began to unravel in 2008 during the global financial crisis, when many investors started to panic and sought to withdraw their money in large sums. Madoff's operation became increasingly unsustainable as more and more people attempted to redeem their investments. The whistleblower. A key turning point came when Harry Markopolos, a financial analyst, became suspicious of Madoff's operations. Markopolos, who had tried multiple times to warn the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) about the fraud, was one of the first to raise the alarm. He spent years investigating Madoff's business, and in 2005, he presented a detailed report to the SEC that outlined the impossibility of Madoff's returns. Despite Markopolos' efforts, the SEC did not take action until it was too late. As the financial crisis deepened, investors began demanding large withdrawals, and Madoff's operation collapsed under the weight of its lies. The arrest. On December 10, 2008, Bernard Madoff was arrested by federal authorities. He confessed to running the largest Ponzi scheme in history, with losses estimated to be between $64.8 billion and $170 billion, including both the principal and interest payments owed to investors. The total value of the scam included billions of dollars in fictitious profits that Madoff had promised to investors. The legal fallout, trials, and sentencing. Madoff's arrest sparked a massive investigation and legal battle. In March 2009, Madoff pled guilty to 11 federal charges, including securities fraud, money laundering, and perjury. He was sentenced to 150 years in prison, effectively a life sentence. The impact of Madoff's fraud was staggering. Thousands of individuals, families, charities, and institutions lost their life savings, with some clients suffering financial ruin. Among the victims were famous figures, including actor Kevin Bacon and his wife, actress Kyra Sedgwick, as well as large institutions like the Stanford University Endowment and numerous hedge funds. Madoff's family was also affected, with his sons, Andrew and Mark, facing immense public scrutiny. Mark Madoff tragically took his own life in 2010, while Andrew Madoff died from cancer in 2014. In addition to Madoff's criminal case, efforts to recover the stolen funds began almost immediately. A court-appointed trustee, Irving Picard, worked to claw back assets from Madoff's investors and partners. While billions of dollars were recovered, many victims were left with only a fraction of their losses. The far-reaching impact of Madoff's scheme. The consequences of Bernard Madoff's Ponzi scheme were vast, affecting not only the financial markets, but also the lives of thousands of investors, and prompting significant reforms in the global financial system. The reverberations from Madoff's fraudulent activities continue to be felt today, highlighting the vulnerabilities within financial systems, the weaknesses in regulatory frameworks, and the human toll of large-scale financial deception. 1. Erosion of trust in financial markets. One of the most significant outcomes of Madoff's scheme was the loss of trust in the global financial markets. For decades, Madoff's firm was considered a reliable and stable entity within the investment world. His reputation, combined with the sophisticated nature of the fraud, led many to believe that if Madoff's business could collapse under such conditions, no investment opportunity could be fully trusted. The fraud shattered the confidence of individual and institutional investors alike, prompting widespread skepticism about the safety of their investments. Investors were particularly rattled by the ease with which Madoff had deceived so many reputable figures and organizations. The fact that prominent individuals, banks, pension funds, and charities had been duped for years revealed significant flaws in how financial institutions assessed and managed risk. Many began to question the reliability of auditors, financial statements, and the broader market infrastructure. The entire episode exposed how, despite all the technological advances in finance, vulnerabilities to scams and fraud could still exist at the highest levels. Second, legal and regulatory reforms. In response to the scandal, U.S. regulators and financial institutions were forced to confront the gaps in their oversight processes. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, which failed to detect Madoff's scheme despite multiple warnings and red flags, came under severe scrutiny. Critics argued that the SEC's failure to investigate Madoff's firm properly was a direct result of inadequate regulatory oversight and a lack of proactive auditing practices. The fallout from the Madoff case led to a host of new regulations aimed at improving transparency and accountability within the financial markets. These included more stringent rules regarding the reporting and auditing of financial statements, especially for hedge funds and investment advisors. In 2010, the U.S. passed the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, which introduced comprehensive measures to prevent fraud and improve the accountability of financial institutions. Legacy of Bernard Madoff. Bernard Madoff's name will forever be associated with one of the greatest financial frauds in history. His ability to deceive people for decades and perpetrate such a large-scale scheme is a testament to both his charisma and the weaknesses in the global financial system. Madoff's scheme has become a cautionary tale, highlighting the dangers of unchecked greed, the risks of overconfidence, and the importance of due diligence in financial dealings. Though Madoff's life sentence in prison has ended any hope of him being able to enjoy his wealth, his legacy remains a grim reminder of the devastating power of deceit and fraud in the financial world. Enjoyed this? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more.